AI will hand you a finished answer before you've even understood the question. It will not carry what happens next. You will. The meeting is at 4, 12 minutes, 3 unread messages, and the decision you've been avoiding all day. So you paste it into AI. 20 seconds later, the answer looks finished. Clear headings, clear bullet points, a conclusion that sounds confident enough to wear a name tag. Your cursor is hovering over send. Before you click, one question. If this is wrong, who owns the call? Not the tool. If the tool doesn't own the consequences, it shouldn't own the conclusion. So here are 3 boundaries that keep the call yours. Automate, augment, anchor. Use the speed, keep the judgment. One more thing before we start. By the end, I'll hand you a single question, about 4 seconds long, that tells you exactly what you should never hand over to AI. The one line between using it and hiding behind it. The next few minutes show you how to use this tool without it using you. And fair warning, the fastest way to get this wrong is to be in a hurry. So don't rush this one. If you are new here, I Am Built for Pressure is about thinking clearly when life gets heavy. AI is adding a new kind of pressure, the pressure to move faster before we have decided what should remain human. Maybe your organization gave you access to an AI tool before it gave you a policy. Maybe someone told the whole team, just start using it, which is an instruction with the reassuring precision of go innovate. Maybe you are using AI already, and honestly, some of it is wonderful. It clears a first draft. It organizes a mess. It helps you see an option you might have missed. But there is another feeling behind it. Sometimes it is not fear of technology. It is fear of looking like the one person in the room who does not understand it. Everyone else seems to be one prompt ahead of you, speaking fluent acronym, and casually mentioning an agent they built over breakfast. Leaders feel it too. You may be expected to have an AI strategy while you are still trying to learn what the system can actually do. You do not want to slow the team down. You also do not want to lend your credibility to something you have not examined. If I do not use this, am I falling behind? And if I use it too much, will I stop recognizing where my own thinking ends and the tool begins? That pressure is not imaginary. This spring, Gallup found that half of U.S. employees now use AI at work at least occasionally. And in a separate survey of 20,000 people already using AI on the job, 65% said they fear falling behind if they do not adapt fast enough. Only 26% said their leaders were clearly and consistently aligned on it. That leaves a lot of responsible people with a very modern assignment. Move faster while the map is still being drawn. The pressure is not merely to learn a tool, it is to prove that you are still useful while the meaning of useful is changing in real time. So let me take some pressure off of you. You do not need every tool. You need a boundary. The models will change, the buttons will move. A new app will appear 5 minutes after you finally remember the password to the last one, but the boundary can hold. 2 things are coming that I don't want you to miss. In a few minutes, a study where using AI made smart people more wrong and somehow more convincing. And right after that, I'll take one real 10 days behind decision and run it through this live and show you how close the tool comes to talking us into the wrong call. Stay with me. Both are worth it. Here's the question most workplaces are asking. Can AI do this? The question is too blunt. Most work is not one thing. It is a stack of tasks. Some are routine, some require thought, some carry consequences that cannot be quietly undone. The better question is, which part should AI do? Which part should it help me think through, and which part must stay attached to a responsible human? AI does not always remove the hard part. Often it moves the hard part. The first draft gets easier. The evaluation gets more important. framing the problem, spotting what is missing, checking the facts, reading the room, and owning the consequences. That is where the weight goes. AI can make an answer faster without making the decision clearer. And a faster answer does something to us emotionally. It lowers the tension, and we feel relief. That relief is real, but relief is not evidence. Finally, I have an answer is not the same sentence as this is the right decision. That matters because episode 10 sits under the E in clear. Execute what matters. Execution starts before we act. It starts when we decide what deserves to move. If we have not decided what matters, AI can help us do the loudest thing with alarming competence. Speed amplifies direction. It does not choose it. So before we accelerate the work, we sort it into 3 lanes. First, automate the repeatable. This is the work that is routine, low consequence, reversible, and easy to verify. Turn approved meeting notes into an agenda. Reformat information you have already checked. Sort non-sensitive responses into themes. Build a first-pass timeline from verified dates. The question is not, can AI produce something? It can produce plenty. The question is, if this is wrong, can I catch it quickly and fix it cheaply? If the answer is yes, automation may be exactly what you need. And one practical guardrail. Use tools your organization has approved and know what information is allowed to enter them. Saving 12 minutes is a poor trade if you pasted a private personal issue into a system you were never authorized to use. Automation should remove friction around the work. It should not remove responsibility from inside the work. That first lane is usually easy to see. The second is where things get interesting. Augment means AI joins the thinking without replacing the thinker. Use it to generate options, challenge assumptions, compare trade-offs, find objections, show you the question you forgot to ask. But for judgment work, make your first mark before the machine makes its first suggestion. Before you prompt it, write 3 imperfect sentences. What do I currently think? What do I think? And what would change my mind? If you enter the conversation with no position at all, the first plausible answer can become the center of gravity. Every thought after that bends around it. Your first mark gives you something honest to compare, revise, or abandon. Then invite the tool to challenge you. What am I assuming that may not be true? What is the strongest case against my preferred option? What evidence would change this recommendation? Whose cost am I overlooking? Now, that small pause is not anti-technology. It is a way to keep the tool from framing the problem before you have even entered the room. Researchers tested versions of that idea in a controlled experiment. When people had to form an initial judgment before seeing AI advice, they were less likely to accept the AI's wrong recommendations. They also liked the more demanding designs less. Of course they did. Thinking is work, but sometimes the friction we are trying to eliminate is the very thing protecting our judgment. Use AI as a critic, not an oracle. Use it to create options, not to manufacture permission. And if you wonder whether that distinction really matters in high-level work, a study of 758 consultants answers it with a very uncomfortable yes. Once you see this, you won't unsee it. Researchers worked with Boston Consulting Group and 758 consultants. They gave them realistic knowledge work assignments and randomly assigned some of them access to GTP4, which is an older version if you're listening today. On 18 tasks, they fit the tool's strengths. AI helped. The consultants finished about 25% faster, completed 12% more tasks, and produced work rated roughly 32% higher in quality. That is real value. We should not pretend otherwise. Then the researchers gave them a similar looking managerial problem. Solving it required combining spreadsheet data with a subtle clue buried in interviews. The tool missed the clue, and the consultants using AI were 19 percentage points less likely to reach the correct answer. But here's the part I cannot get past. Their answers still looked better. Even when the recommendation was wrong, the AI-assisted responses were rated as more coherent and persuasive. Same professionals, same tool, similar looking work. Opposite result. The tool did not look broken. It made the mistake look ready for a meeting. That is why the first danger is rarely a ridiculous answer. It is a reasonable answer that arrives before our judgment does. NIST has a name for part of this: automation bias. We can give an automated answer more difference than it deserves, especially when the system is reliable often enough to earn our trust. Polish can borrow credibility from truth. So when the consequence is heavier, we move to a third lane. Anchor the work when it involves people. Promises, values, trust, safety, rights, strategy, or consequences that cannot be casually undone. Anchoring does not mean AI is banned from the room. It may summarize information, it may expose a pattern, it may challenge your preferred choice, but it cannot become the reason for the decision. The system said no is not leadership. That is a hiding place. Ask 3 questions. What happens if this is wrong? Can I verify it independently? And who will carry the consequence? If someone's job, pay, reputation, privacy, safety, or trust is on the line, a responsible human has to stay attached to the call. Imagine using AI to summarize a performance file. That may be useful, but the file cannot tell you how often the employee has covered a gap that was never documented, whether expectations changed halfway through the quarter, or what your own leadership contributed to the problem. A summary can organize the record. It cannot become the whole person. That conversation still belongs to us. Eyes open, facts checked, and no screen available to absorb the discomfort. AI can draft the apology. It cannot repair the trust. AI can produce an answer. It cannot own the consequence. That sounds clear in theory. Deadlines have a way of making theory slippery. So let's put one real decision under pressure. Imagine this. A client project is 10 days behind. The client expects it Friday. Your team has already worked 2 weekends, and everyone is tired enough that one quick change now feels like a personal threat. You open an AI tool and type, "We are behind on a client project that must launch Friday. Build a recovery plan, please." The response will probably look useful. Freeze the scope, identify the critical path, assign owners, add daily check-ins, and shift resources. It might even communicate with the client, maybe even extend the hours. But honestly, some of that may help. But look at what the tool does not know. The delay began when the client held an approval for 6 days. Friday was discussed, but it was never contractual deadline. The feature causing most of the delay was the very little value to the customer. One team member is caring for a parent after surgery, and the team has already spent 2 weekends paying for a promise they did not make. The AI did not ignore those facts. We never gave them to it. We gave it a thin prompt and nearly trusted a thick conclusion. If our prompt treats Friday as sacred, somebody else's weekend becomes the hidden cost. AI can optimize the goal we give it. It cannot decide whether the loudest goal is the right one to protect. Now, watch what happens when we use the 3 lanes. Automate. Give the tool verified project data and let it organize the timeline, dependencies, completed work, and remaining capacity. Check the output. The work is mechanical and useful. Augment. Ask it to compare 3 options, cut the scope, move the date, or add approved resources. Ask which assumptions each option depends on. Ask who carries the costs. Ask what new fact would change the recommendation. Now, the tool is helping us inspect the decision instead of rushing us toward one. Anchor. A human decides which promise can bend. A human speaks with a team. A human calls the client. A human explains the trade-off and owns what happens next. The AI did not make that decision. It made the decision easier to examine. And that is the point. Use AI to reduce the work around judgment, not the judgment itself. Quick note before this next part. If you don't manage anyone, don't drift off here, because right after this comes the one question I promised at the very top. The next minute is for the leaders. The one after it is for you. Leaders telling a team to use AI is not a policy. It is a pressure without a guardrail. People need to know which tools are approved and what information may enter them. They need to know which work requires human review, who has authority to approve the final output, and where a real conversation must happen before a decision moves. Do not reward speed and then act surprised when verification disappears. Do not leave every employee to discover the ethical boundary alone at 11:47 at night with a deadline in the morning. If the workload rewards shortcuts and the policy offers only silence, people will build private rules under pressure. Some will be too cautious. Others will hand over far too much. Neither is a stable system. And make it safe for everyone to say, this task needs to stay anchored. This is not resistance. It may be the clearest judgment in the room. The goal is not to preserve every old method. Some work should become dramatically easier. The goal is to make the handoff visible, what the tool did, what a person checked, and who owns the call. When those lines are vague, responsibility does not disappear. It simply lands on the person with the least power to clarify it. Good AI leadership is not measured by how much work we hand over to the machine. It is measured by whether the work becomes more useful, more honest, and more humane. Remember the question from the very top? Who owns the call? Here's the 4-second version, the one that answers it for good. Would I put my name on this decision and explain it to the person affected without hiding behind the tool? If the answer is no, the work is not ready. Screenshot that one if it helps. It is the whole episode in a single line. Go back to the opening. It is at 3 minutes and 57 seconds, roughly. The recommendation is still polished. The meeting is still at 4, but now you know what to do before you press send. Verify what can be verified, surface the assumptions, name who carries the cost, then decide whether you are willing to own it. Maybe AI saved you an hour. Good. Use that hour to think. Use it to ask better questions. Use it to talk with the people who have to live with that answer. That is what execute what matters looks like. It does not mean doing everything in all the tasks by yourself. It means protecting the part of the work where truth, trust, and responsibility live. Being built for pressure does not mean rejecting useful tools or proving that we can work harder than a machine. It means refusing to let speed make our decisions before wisdom enters the room. So here is your one clear move. Choose one task you use AI for or what to use it for and classify it. Automate, augment, or anchor. Then write down the part of the judgment you will not hand over. And I would love to hear yours. In the comments, name one part of your life you are comfortable automating and one part you will always anchor. If AI pressure is part of a larger flood of information for you, watch the information overload episode next. It will help you separate the signal from the static. Use the tool. Take the speed. But if your name stays attached to the consequence, keep your judgment attached to the decision.